I love the feelings and ideas that you explore in this film about breaking away from routine, stepping out of your comfort zone, and returning to former passions and that youthful sense of adventure. How do you relate to that as a storyteller telling stories? Do you think that the stories that you tell as a filmmaker allow you to step away from reality in a healthy manner and gather a new perspective about your reality because you're jumping into a cinematic adventure?
Well, to the first part of that, absolutely. It definitely allows me to experience these sort of fantasies that I might have. Whether it's healthy, I'm not 100% sure. Because I definitely do kind of live vicariously through my characters. All of my movies, they're very different from each other, but I would say that there is certainly a common thread in that I feel like I identify very strongly with the female protagonists. And in this case, there's obviously three women, and I feel like I identify strongly with all three of them in various ways.
What aspects of this film were a welcoming stepping outside of your comfort zone, whether it was a technical experience, an on-set moment, or what have you?
I think anytime you go into making a film, no matter how experienced you are, it is still always an exercise in stepping outside of your comfort zone, particularly here in the sense that like I lived in a cabin for 5 months on the campground. And that was something I had not done before. We also were really battling, well, not battling, but we were up against we were basically making the movie with fingers crossed, hoping that spring would come early. Because when we started prep, it was February and there were no leaves on trees. It was freezing cold. And we were like, we're not going to be able to have these ladies out in this weather. Because of our schedule, we had to film all of the indoor stuff first, which meant we had no cover sets through the whole film. So we were basically, doing an anti-rain dance, hoping that we weren't going to get rained out. We only got rained out one day, and we had to make concessions for that, and then do some VFX to get rid of the rain. Every day on set is always outside of your comfort zone because it's always something new and different.
Right, right. Do you feel like this film has made you a more conscious person of being okay with sunsetting some aspects of your life, whether it's friends, interests, or even through Jenny's character, this exploration of certain personas we wear around people and kind of cutting through the BS, which I thought was really fascinating. And is it okay to, reconnect with other aspects of life?
Yeah, I think that that's more of what I've taken away from making the film is a desire to reconnect with people from my past, whether it's family or like and just be present in the moment. I think that's something that
Yeah.
I've really taken away from because we were out on that at the camp without much cell service. And when I'm making a movie anyway, I'm not on my phone, but like I really have taken that to heart a lot. As far as like being willing to let the sun set on things, and give things up, that's never been a problem for me. Like I'm not a person that struggles to say no. Like to me, I like to say, like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. So that's never been a challenge. The challenge for me is like leave your house and go talk to someone face to face as opposed to texting them.
Right, right, right. Another component of this film that I want to dig into before I ask a sillier question is is the idea about being addicted to work and how that can be a bad drug. I completely related to that scene, that exploration in Nora's character. I have multiple jobs and it can be difficult to feel the ground from under your feet. What helps keep the roots in the ground for you?
I think I come back to like at the end of the day, or at the end of your life, even, like, what are you going to remember? You're not remembering work. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I have a really great job that I love. So maybe I would remember some work, but like,
Mm.
I think usually what I remember is experiences and how things have made me feel and things that I share with other people. And so I try to prioritize that. And I also have seen my mom and my grandma, who are both, business mavens, to some extent. I've seen them both uh, put work above people in their lives. And so I try to learn from that because I don't think that that necessarily equates to happiness. I think that your relationships and even your ability to just sit with yourself and do nothing and uh, or read or what have you, like, to me, those things are really important, and I prioritize them maybe even more than I should.
Well, that's good to hear. But I imagine you'll probably forever remember watching Alfred Woodard and Dennis Haysbert doing pottery. Like that was
Yes.
such a
Oh
joy
my
to see.
gosh. And that scene, the full edit on that scene is just like ridiculous.
I can imagine. I can imagine. What about in the food fight scene? Which I thoroughly enjoy because I grew up on films like It Takes Two, Matilda, and Hook, and I loved the flipping of the table in this because it made it feel like a war.
Yep.
What's the art to a good food fight scene?
Well, so I watched them all. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some that I missed, but my takeaway was like eventually they all kind of just devolve into chaos. And what I really wanted people, it makes me so happy that you said that. Like, I wanted to have the theme of uh it being compared to warfare.
Yeah.
So I I watched just as many scenes from Saving Private Ryan and like war movies to get an idea of how we wanted to film it.
Hmm.
And I think we took more inspiration from that as opposed to just like food fight scenes, because we all know how those end up. So adding those little vignettes, and if I'd had more than a day to shoot all of that stuff, I would have had even more. I had so many ideas of little fun things that I wanted to do to relate it to warfare. But you only have so many hours in a day and so many hours of daylight.
Well, I love like the auditory journey of that too. Like it was like a tinnitus type of thing, and it was fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
good job there. I know we're just about out of time, so I'll wrap up with there's a scene where Ginny yells something to someone about taking their eyes off their ego, and then Ginny says, "Oh, I need to write that down." When an idea or a character pops into your head, do you have to deal with it right then and there wherever you are, whatever you happen to be doing, or do you have the capacity to store it away for later?
Something like a line I will generally forget, so I need to write it down right then. But I think in terms of like on a macro level with story, I'll go out for a walk every day for like an hour and just kind of let ideas percolate, and I won't write that stuff down usually unless I have, like I said, a specific line in mind, because I think that ideas that stick with you are things that, oh, okay, there's something there. Because
Hmm.
I have a million ideas. Everyone has a movie idea or 10 or whatever, but actually having something that sticks, then okay, I can dig further into that with the process and actually take it through um to see where it goes.